Well, hello and welcome to the Profit Express. I'm Tim Healy. I'm inviting you to join me each and every Wednesday so you can be prepared to win the battle for business. That's right. Now listen, I know you're out there. You're closing deals. You're making money. You're turning prospects into profits. So I've got to make it worth your while. That's why I have on the kinds of guests that you can listen, learn, and earn from. Today's guest, I assure you, is no exception. So hey, as always, thanks for sharing some of your time with me today. And of course, as always, a big thank you to our sponsor, Corbett Public Relations, where they've been promoting and protecting businesses and brands for over 30 years. So hey, do me a favor. Visit Bill and his team at CorbettPR.com. That's CORBETTPR.com. So welcome aboard, everybody. Now, today's guest has a story that I'm very, very excited to share with you. It really is, as I like to call it, the trifecta of success stories for the Profit Express. Today's guest is Elle Rueger. She's the founder of Soledier Socks. Now, what makes her story so special? Well, let me talk about the trifecta. Number one, she's a startup success story. Number two, she's a made in America story. And number three, part of the mission of Soledier Socks is to supply to the military, to veterans, and to first responders a high-quality pair of their soldier socks. So her story has all the elements that I love to share with you on the Profit Express. It's a kind of story that you can, not only listen, learn, and earn from, but be inspired by. So it's a great pleasure to welcome aboard the Profit Express, Elle Rueger, founder, Soledier Socks. Elle, how are you today?
I am great. Thank you for having me.
No, listen, it's a pleasure. And before I get into sharing your story, because I just happen to love the story, and you and I kind of connected on LinkedIn a while back where you shared the story. I did a little research, and I said, okay, listen, I want to have Elle and Soledier Socks on the show. So before we get into talking about the story, when I have certain guests on, I like to do some research, right? When I have authors on, I typically read books. Now, what you might not know of me, Elle, is I'm a pretty big runner. I run about, 600 or 800 miles a year. So socks are an important thing to me. So when we kind of set up this interview, I said, you know what? I want to check out these socks. And again, you don't know about this, but what I did, hold on now. I went online and I got my delivery. Now, again, I went and purchased these. So I'm giving an honest feedback here, all right? I ordered the 2-pack of, I think these are called the Hester. These are the low cut. Did I get, because I know there's a name behind every sock, and we'll get to that. So I got the Hester sock, right? I got a postcard from Lindsay, right? I love the customer service of this. And it says, thank you for supporting our mission. 2 pairs of socks will be donated in your name to our troops and veterans. So I love the package, and I just got them. Now, hold on. I'm going to do a little Mr. Rogers here, okay? And I literally, hold on, right? I got like my Mr. Rogers shoe. It almost looks like Mr. Rogers.
Beautiful day in the neighborhood.
I've got the large, as you can see, the L on the bottom. It's got the beautiful red, white, and blue striping. And this is the Hester, right? The Hester low cut. Okay.
Hester.
I have to put my leg down, otherwise I'm going to cramp. All right. So as a podcaster's opinion, super comfy pair of socks. I love them so far, and I love the hand. And this is a handwritten note, by the way. Okay, let's talk about sales, marketing, and branding. A handwritten note, great touch. So I just want to start off with that. So
thank you.
Let's start.
I love the Mr. Rogers moment.
I figured today let me channel my inner Mr. Rogers, right? So thank you for that. Now, what I'd like to do, because I said earlier, we connected on LinkedIn and you shared your story. So take me back, take the listener back to the story of how it all began.
Sure. So it was 2010. Our friend Tommy was deployed to Afghanistan. And at the time, he had sent a request item, a list of requests that he wanted in his care packages, and socks were at the top of the list. So we had an abundance of socks that we had laying around because my husband had actually worked in the hosiery industry for a while. And we had a bunch of samples that we sent his way. And when he got home, the socks were all he talked about. He had a bacterial foot infection that was beginning at the time when he received that care package, and he couldn't get rid of it. And within 2 weeks of wearing a consistent supply of dry, good quality socks, his foot finally started to clear up and that infection went away. And so he just really stressed the importance of having the socks when he was deployed. And around that time, Tom's had launched with their 1-for-1 model. So we pretty much got the idea from them that if you purchase a pair, we will donate a pair. Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So this was a friend of yours, Tommy, who served. And again, thank you for his service, of course. So he's in Afghanistan. And it's funny, you don't think about a pair of socks, right? We think it's a pretty simple item that we I would take for granted, although I do run and I do appreciate it. But so being in Afghanistan, lots of heat, they're carrying equipment, they're carrying those packs, and all of a sudden socks become really important, right?
It's crucial. It really is. You just think about running. When you get a blister on your foot, right? It's going to make for a miserable rest of your run. And you're running, I'm assuming, without equipment on you. So now you add that extra weight. You're trying to avoid putting any pressure on that blister because it hurts. So now that's throwing off your gait. And then that could lead to further complications with your knees and your hips and your back. So if you just really go down the rabbit hole of the what ifs and what could be, it really is one of the most important parts of their uniform.
So, and out of the care package, that's what he appreciated the most.
That's what he appreciated most. He drank whiskey at the time. You're not supposed to send alcohol overseas, and we did not. But he was an Oban whiskey drinker. And so I made a cardboard cutout of the Oban bottle. I was very impressed with the craftsmanship of it. And he didn't even mention it. And that's how I knew that that was a big deal to him. So that's pretty much what planted the seed of this is something that would be important and be a good mission.
So now, all right, so the business you started, if I have it right, in 2010, correct?
No, so it was an idea that we sat on for years, because it wasn't. I lived in New Jersey at the time, and it wasn't until we moved to North Carolina, which is the hosiery capital of the country, textile industry, and we had all these factories at our but all these factories at our fingertips, and it was pretty much the perfect timing because it was something I just thought about for years. And finally, I was just like, you know what? I just need to either do this or stop talking about it. And it was something I just leapt into and started the research and development phase of figuring it out.
So, okay, so the idea, like you said, you send the care packages to your friends serving in Afghanistan. Then the idea starts to kind of, germinate in your head. You're thinking about it for a couple of years. You move to North Carolina, textiles, it's all plentiful down there. Did you have what kind of business background or experience did you have prior to opening up Soledier Socks?
None, zero, zilch, no business experience at all. It was all grassroots, figuring it from the bottom up. I'm glad that we didn't start the company in 2010 because the resources weren't at my disposal that were there in 2015 when we really started the research and development process. So I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. And I think if I did start this business back then, I don't know if it would still be in business today. So I think while it was frustrating, I guess, at times when I look back and wish I started sooner, I think it really was for the best that we didn't, and we started when we did.
Well, listen, I mean, timing is a critical element. And like you said, I think, so it was basically the move to North Carolina, which helped kind of get things going. So you started the research and development in 2015. When did socks when were you ready to start selling socks?
2017. So it was about, starting the process of becoming a company, LLC and all that. And then halfway through 2015 was the research and development on the socks, and then into 2017. So that was a challenge in and of itself because I'm pretty much cold calling factories and I have no hosiery background myself. I had a basic idea of what I was looking for and what I needed and did some research to learn
Right.
about fiber content and yarns and all those interesting things about socks.
Right.
But I didn't have a big company behind me. I didn't have, a brand behind me. It was just me coming to them and saying, hey, I have this idea. I need you to take some time to work with me, develop a sock, because as I've said before in other interviews, it's not, it's kind of backwards the way that we started our give back component. So a lot of companies will have their established company and then they will do some sort of give back as a promotion or marketing or something like that. And for us, the give back component was what spurred the entire business. And so the
Okay.
sock that we first created is the sock that we donate to our troops today.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we spent that initial year and a half on developing. And it had to be the perfect sock.
What? Now, okay, is that the Thomas? Is that the sock? Did I read that right? That's the
Yep,
one.
that's the
Oh,
Thomas, named after our friend Tommy. It's actually
right.
the crew version of the Hester, what you have right there.
Oh, it is. Okay. Very nice. So so you go, you have no business background, you have no hosiery sock background, and then you start talking to these, these manufacturers who've been doing it for
Mhm.
however long, and
Yeah.
how do you get them to take you seriously?
I had a lot of doors slammed, a lot of, we'll get back to you. And then you just never hear back from them. But it was really just, it was finding the right factory, somebody who could believe in the mission, who also supported the troops, who obviously are excited to celebrate Made in the USA. It's a dying industry here in the States. A lot of that moved overseas. And so to find a factory that not only would take me seriously and get behind the mission and the idea, but also have the same quality that can compete with the technologies that have advanced overseas. And so we were fortunate to find two factories at the time
Hmm.
who were willing to take that chance. And they knew too, we were very upfront with them that it was a partnership we were looking for. It wasn't just, get us off the ground and then we're going to take all of our stuff overseas and get better margins and all that. We are very strongly believe in Made in the USA product. And so this is something that as we grew, they would grow as well.
So okay, so that leads me to my next thought, and it was, when I said what makes your story great, one of the components that I love about it is Made in the USA. I've always
Mhm.
been a big proponent. I think it's critical to any economy, and like you said, especially in the garment section of retailing, a lot of it has gone offshore. Um,
Yeah.
so, and you could get it done at a fraction overseas in Asia and China,
Mhm.
wherever. Um, you know, why did you decide to do it? Why was Made in the USA so important to you to get it off the ground?
We decided that it didn't seem right to put socks on the feet of our troops that were not made right here in the United States. And the fact that we lived in North Carolina, it was the hosiery capital of the country and of the world at one point. I don't think I realized the effect that that would have on our decision making. But
Hmm.
after we realized that and how so many things were moved overseas, it was just a no brainer that we were always going to have our socks made in the United States, no matter what.
So, Made in the US, which I love, I respect, I admire when so many people take the easy way out. But again, like you said, how do you put socks made in China on our soldiers' feet? I mean, that I love. And then now it talks about,
Yeah.
with the Profit Express, we talk about the importance of a partnership. And one thing that we spoke about a little while ago is when you went to these manufacturers originally, you said, hey, this really is a partnership. How important has that been now that you guys have been doing this for a couple of years?
It's been great. I mean, we've developed this relationship that's built on trust and common interests and common ground. They know, hopefully, at this point, that we are not going to jump ship and go overseas. And we have a great relationship with them. And I agree that the partnership is so important. Without them and their services, we wouldn't even be able to produce the socks that we have. So it's been pretty amazing.
So now, again, you started the company with the giving back as part of the mission. Okay. And I believe that the ultimate mission is to have every service member, which I think it's a couple of million, I don't know the exact number, actually having a pair of your soldier socks. So what kind of numbers, because I've heard some pretty impressive numbers and they seem to keep growing, which is a reflection of sales growing, which is great. So what have you given back so far to the soldiers?
So we have donated 20,000 pairs of socks, I believe, up to date. And then this year we are projected to do approximately 50,000 pairs of socks donated. And then in addition to our sock donations, as we became embedded with the military community, because we're not military affiliated, we are civilian owned, got to learn some of the challenges that our military community faces. And because of that, linked up with different nonprofits that service the military community. And we create our Stand for a Cause line, which is basically a sock line that we make a sock with a nod to that partner nonprofit to help raise awareness for what they do to better the military community's lives. And in addition to raising awareness, we do a monetary donation for each pair sold back to them. And so to date, we've donated approximately $20,000 to various military nonprofits as well.
So it's, you know, in business, we talk about mission statements, but this is a part of your mission statement. And to me, this is a real mission statement because it's backed up by actions, backed up by, you know, giving back socks, giving back even funds. And again, I'm certainly no expert, but I think a lot of Americans have heard when our, you know, servicemen and women come back, there's a lot of challenges that they're dealing with. A lot of challenges. So, you know, people like yourself who can, you know, create awareness and support any way they can, hugely, hugely important.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not even coming back, it's active duty too. So something I didn't realize at the time and became aware of through a nonprofit, particularly is Hunter 7 Foundation. And that's the burn pits. And that's gotten a lot of national attention. It's had some legislation passed recently, which is in favor of our veterans and military community. But basically the generic explanation of it that I understand it is that they would basically put all of their trash into the center of a pit and then just burn it, no matter what it was. And so all the toxins and everything that came from that was obviously not good for them. And so they were breathing all that in. And now there's rare diseases that our service members, whether active or veterans, are starting to show signs of. And so the whole goal for that is to raise awareness for those and to have early intervention, because obviously the earlier that these things are discovered, the more chance they have of survival. And so that's just one of many things that was brought up to our attention via doing this.
Now, okay, so let's go back to the business for a moment. So you started the company. Your husband, you mentioned a little earlier, he had a background in the hosier business, textiles, I guess. And he eventually ended up joining the business. So now it's a husband-wife team. So all right, let's have some fun now for a moment.
Sorry. I have a dog here. Of course, he's normally sleeping. He's an old man. He's about to be a 13-year-old dog, and he's always asleep. And go figure. The one time, I think he sees a squirrel.
That's right. Well, hey, listen, he's a fan of the Profit Express. Obviously, he's excited that you're on the show. So I'll take any fans I could get.
He's so excited.
And who wouldn't bark for the Profit Express, right? Actually, it's the first barking fan I've had, right? So, okay, so let me ask this. Let me ask this. So you and your husband-wife team, how is it, you know, he's not going to hear this, don't worry. It's just between you and I. How is it like working with your husband?
It's been great.
Come on now,
it definitely has its challenges because we are together all the time. And so when you have that much togetherness, it's always good to find some avenues that you can separate and have something to talk about. Sorry, he's going to.
That's okay.
Have something to talk about in the background.
Wait, what's your dog's name?
It's like, do you remember that video for that guy that was having that really important meeting. I don't remember what it was. It was when the pandemic first started, and he was
Oh
at
yeah,
home. He had this beautiful background. And then the kid burst in. The mom was like falling down to take, I think it was on live national TV.
yeah.
But
This is great. No,
yeah,
I
no,
love it. Don't worry.
I definitely, it's real life. I definitely think that you need to have avenues of differentiation, because when we are together all the time, we work together. It's a
Yeah,
lot, but he has been such a huge asset. He brings a great business background. He brings, he's been in the retail industry for years. His whole career has been retail. He's worked every aspect of the buying, the planning, the selling. So he brings a wealth of knowledge that has been very beneficial. But prior to him coming on board, he stayed pretty hands off just because of the gray area that it was. He didn't officially have a non-compete or intellectual property or anything like that. So technically,
sure.
I guess we could have used those, resources, but it didn't feel right. I'm a
Yeah,
believer
yeah.
in karma. Trying to start a business, I wouldn't want, as we grow our business, to have somebody else, when they're an employee, go and do something to us that would have done to his company. So
Yeah.
we kept everything very black and white, very separate. But the
Smart. Yeah.
pandemic hit and he got furloughed in 2020. Not, I guess, partial furlough. He went down to, 2 days a week. And so it was pretty much at that point a no-brainer to have him come join us. It made complete sense.
Awesome. Now, so he joins you. He had the perfect background, obviously, which certainly helps. But now you guys are in, the apparel, the sock business. There's a lot of competition out there. There's lots of socks out there. Okay. Now, again, you have a special cause. You have a special mission. Okay. But talk to us a little bit about what is your branding strategy. How are you going out to market? I did read some of it. You get a lot of word of mouth, but what would you attribute to a lot of your success from a marketing perspective? Yeah.
Of course, he starts barking, right? Well, that's my question. So it definitely has been word of mouth, and social media was our number one growing platform. Yelling at my dog. Okay.
That's all right.
So that was our number one growing, because it was a very grassroots organic approach. We basically wanted to let people know that we were genuine in our mission. We actually did the give back components that we said we did, and that we really truly just cared about the community, and it wasn't just a gimmick or something like that. And so once people realized that aspect of us, that we were transparent and genuine, it really just kind of took off on its own. And now it's really just getting out in front of as many eyes as possible. So doing things like these podcasts, and we were very fortunate to have a segment on the Today Show in January. So that was a huge help for sure, to help get us in front of national. Yeah. And so it's been a fun, wild ride. We pretty much just throw spaghetti at the wall and see what will stick. So we're everywhere. We are on podcasts. We're doing media, local media, national media, Facebook advertising, Pinterest, anywhere that we think we could get our name out there and someone can see us and hear about the mission and want to support. We're doing it.
I love it, because technically you're not supposed to succeed because you didn't have any business background, you didn't own businesses, right? All this, but you're succeeding, and I think it's the passion for what you do, which is self-evident. I think it's your mission, right? And karma, I think, is helping you along the way. Now, again, part of what I love about the story, as I said in the beginning, it's the startup. It's made in America, and it's the mission to give back to our active duty, our veterans, and our first responders with the Soldier socks. So let's talk about for a moment the startup element, because a lot of people are listening are startups or thinking of becoming startups. So I want to ask you, Elle, what have you learned about yourself now that you're a business owner of a startup?
Just believing in yourself, I would say. It's hard to think that you can do it when you don't have the background, right? If you don't have the experience and you don't have the education, it's a lot easier. It's easy to doubt yourself to begin with, but it's a lot easier to doubt yourself and know, or to think that it wouldn't be successful because of those things. But I think determination, mindset, hard work, that really goes a long way. And obviously, I think a little bit of luck helps too. Just right place, right time, right people come into your lives. But just to not underestimate yourself, and to, if it's a passion, if it's something that you really believe in, to go for it. And it's going to take some time. They say 3 years, I think, to be successful. I honestly think it's probably closer to 5, especially when you throw a pandemic in there. That definitely throws a wrench into things. But
Right.
I wouldn't take that 3-year rule personally to heart. I think as long as you're dedicated and smart about your decision making, I think it could work. And I would say another piece of advice is to not go via legal Zoom. It is very much a draw, because if you don't know what you're doing and you're just looking into it and you're like, oh, they make this easy, but definitely go through your Secretary of State and figure out how to start your business that way.
All right. So there's definitely some mistakes along the way. I mean, don't feel bad. We all make them.
Obviously.
That's a good bit of advice there. Listen, I am enjoying my pair, super comfy, as I showed you earlier. I'm wearing my Hester's right now on the show live. And I'll give you an update. I'll post an update because I'm going for a run tomorrow morning. I'll let you know how they feel on the run. How can people...
I would love to hear that.
Absolutely. And listen, I want to do anything I can to spread, the message. How can people follow you, on social? What's the best way?
Yeah, so on all social media, you can find us at Soldier Socks, and that's spelled SOLEDIER SOCKS. It is a play on words, like the sole of your foot. Yeah. And our website is soldiersocks.com.
Awesome. Well, this has been Elle Rueger. She is the founder of Soldier Socks, who has an awesome message. She's a successful startup with her husband. His name is Mike, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, and I didn't get the dog.
Mike, yes.
Mike, and what's the dog's name? We didn't get the dog's name.
The dog's name is Leo.
Leo. I mean, he played an important role today, right? It's life, and I love it.
He did.
So tell Leo I said hello as well. Listen, again, much success. I love the cause, and I love Made in America. And thanks so much for being on board the Profit Express today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Okay, so thank you for listening as always. And this has been the Profit Express. And remember to tune in each and every Wednesday so you can download great shows like the one I just had with Elle Rueger, founder of Soldier Socks. And follow me on Instagram at the Profit Express, on Twitter at Profit_Express. And until next Wednesday, remember, you're doing anything and everything you can to continue to win the battle for business. It's the Profit Express.